from his family.
Yes, was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
Got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Mayhem Matthew, and my co-host, Ballard of Ballard Sports Media. How you doing today, Ballard?
I'm doing great, Mayhem. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. Okay?
Awesome.
With that being said, if you like the content, please smash the thumbs up. And if you really like the content, subscribe to Ballard Sports Media. What are you doing? All right? Yeah, so this is going to be a really fun live stream. We're going to be rambling about football and football news in general. We're just going to surf the internet and see what kind of news that we can get on into. Okay, Ballard?
Okay.
So let's start off really hot. Let's start off hot, right on fire, Ballard. So this is coming from CBS Sports, Ballard. All right. Federal investigators seize thousands of intimate images during probe into ex-Michigan's assistant Matt Weiss. The article reads, and I quote, thousands of photos and videos were seized by the Department of Justice as part of the investigation into former Michigan's assistant coach Matt Weiss, the AP reports. The seizure was revealed in court filings of a lawsuit against Weiss and Michigan released on Tuesday. Weiss, a former co-offense coordinator under Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, was indicted in March for allegedly hacking into the private accounts of students and athletes around the country to steal intimate photographs, which is really crazy in my opinion. Right there, let's stop right there, Ballard, and I want to get your immediate reaction. What is that?
This is insane and disturbing.
Now,
For real.
it is very insane and very disturbing. I do agree with you on that. Also, you know, we all know that Michigan cheated to win their national championship. That is true. Also, this guy, Mr. Matt Weiss, was able to hack into private accounts of students and athletes. So if he can hack into accounts like so, wouldn't you think that he can hack into maybe coaches' game plans and stuff like that? I mean, give me your thoughts on that.
Are we talking about Connor Stallions here? Are we going down that rabbit hole?
Well, we're talking about Matt Weiss. I mean, Connor Stallions, he did all the cheating with the signals, but I mean, Matt Weiss, do you think he was do you think he could have been a part of the whole Connor Stallions thing and cheating for Connor Stallions? What's your thoughts on that?
It's possible. Have you not seen the Netflix documentary on all that too?
Yeah, I've
Like
seen it.
Matt Weiss, I don't think Matt Weiss was he even in that,
No,
or is he just kind of this figure that just up and appeared lately?
he literally was a figure that just up and appeared lately. But I'm just assuming that if he can hack into accounts like this, that if Michigan was cheating with Connor Stallions, right? I mean, don't you think Matt Weiss had something to do with that as well? I mean, I know the Netflix docuseries did not mention his name, but I mean, it leads me to believe that something like this could also be, you know, something tied to Weiss potentially cheating, right?
It could. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could take this. Um, I would like to think that he was probably in on it. Why he wasn't brought up before is probably because Connor Stallions was in the spotlight at the time, but it would not surprise me if they come out and say that this guy was behind it too.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all either. And just like, you know, what this just like you said earlier, I'm gonna say it again. Stealing intimate photographs of students and athletes around the country. This is around the country. This is just not at the University of Michigan. This is around the country, Ballard. So just imagine, like, if he was stealing these type of photographs, I mean, I'm just going to say what I think, okay? So maybe Matt Weiss was hacking into some, you know, some computers trying to get information from these football programs, right? And then I guess he stumbled upon that he could steal photographs from students and athletes, and so now he probably started doing that because he probably went down a rabbit hole, right? That's what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking that this probably all started with him. Now, this is just alleged, right? This is just allegedly. I'm just, predicting, what I think happened. This is just me, um, what I think happened, right? This is all alleged. This is all alleged. This is not true. This ain't what really happened. I'm just saying that I think it could have happened, right? But I think that Mr. Weiss probably was cheating with Connor Stallions, trying to hack into some other football programs, softwares, and trying to get some information. And then he probably went down a rabbit hole that led to these students and athletes intimate photographs, which then he probably went down a more he went down a a bigger rabbit hole and started downloading the information. And he started hacking into social medias and hacking into cloud storage of accounts, more than 2,000 primarily female college athletes. And also he downloaded information of more than 150,000 athletes, Ballard. That is insane. That's insane. So I do think that Matt Weiss was one. Well, I'm gonna say 99.9 because I don't know for 100% sure, but all the context clues that I have here would lead me to believe that I am almost 100% positive that he was 100% cheating with the whole Connor Stallions thing. I don't know why it never got brought up. Just like you said, it possibly could have been that Connor Stallions was in the spotlight and he just kind of wasn't. And then whenever this all came out, that of this really gross and sick deal that Matt Weiss was doing, um, and now his name is come up. So, man, apparently his alleged crimes, according to CBS Sports, his alleged crimes date back to 2015, Ballard.
Oh wow, going back 10 years.
Man,
I mean, that's a long time, man.
yeah, it is. The CBS report continues. Thousands of candid, intimate photographs and videos have been seized from the defendant's electronic devices and from his cloud storage accounts. The Justice Department's Mega Victim Case Assistant Program said, according to the AP, and I quote, many show victims naked. Some show victims engaged in explicit sexual acts, end quote. Weiss faces 24 federal charges, 14 counts of unauthorized access to computers, and 10 counts of aggravated identity theft. Plead not guilty to all of them. At least a portion of the alleged crimes occurred from December 21st through 23rd within Michigan's football facilities as the Wolverines prepared to play TCU in the college football playoff. Weiss was suspended from Michigan in 2023 when campus police launched their initial investigations, citing only computer crimes. Weiss spent 18 years coaching in college football and the NFL, all coming under brothers Jim and John Harbaugh. He worked for the Baltimore Ravens in 2009 all the way to 2020 before leaving to join Jim Harbaugh as quarterbacks coach and later co-offense coordinator at Michigan. So that is pretty much. I mean, the story goes on a little bit more, but it's just talking about some background under Matt Weiss. But that's pretty much the story, Ballard. Do you got anything other than? I mean, it's just pure gross, and he should be ashamed of himself, obviously, for doing a crime like this.
The only other thing I could think, I mean, that's my immediate reaction. Um, but it's you see this often in our world. Maybe not in college athletics though. Like this is something that I don't think we see often in athletics, at least in collegiate level. Um, so this is kind of one of those rare stories that you're gonna see, but at the same time, it's something that happens worldwide all the time.
Yeah, and which is really, really crazy to think about.
Yes.
So let's talk about Hugh Freeze. Let's uh, let's move along and um, talk about Hugh Freeze. Um, he has no sense of panic in year 3. Um, and this is coming from ESPN. Chris Lowe wrote this, and I'm gonna read it, and we're gonna react to it. So this is coming from Auburn, Alabama. About 3 months after his second straight losing season at Auburn, Hugh Freeze found out in February that he had prostate cancer. And this is a quote from Hugh Freeze. Quote, at the time, the only thing you hear is that C word, end quote, Freeze told ESPN on Tuesday. Admittedly rattled and more scared for his family than anything else, Freeze has since settled on a course of treatment, and after getting some encouraging news recently from the doctors that his form of cancer was low aggressive, he has decided to wait until January and let the doctors re-examine his situation instead of having surgery. He said, and I quote, I'm only 55. We're a family of faith, and I didn't feel like it was time to rush into surgery, end quote, Freeze said. He also he also said, and I quote, I'm at peace with it, end quote. The same goes for his football team. As Freeze enters his third season on the Plains, he's by no means content with the result of the past 2 seasons, and neither is he naive about the lack of patience within the realm of SEC football. But Freeze was outspoken whenever he arrived that it would take 3 full recruiting classes to get Auburn back into championship contention. His first 2 have both been top 10 classes nationally. He said, and I quote, I think it's as settled as we have been as a program. The continuity of our staff, the pieces to our staff, that we've added and what we've been able to do in the building, our roster in high school recruiting in the portal. Free said. Now we've got to compete and win some more games, but I don't feel any sense of panic. We're on our way to getting where we want to be and where we should be. So Auburn had a winning season in 2020 when it was 6-5 and has won more than 8 games only twice, 2017 and 2019, since playing for the national championship in 2013. The Tigers finished 5-7 last season. So that's pretty much the whole entire story. That's let's talk about first Auburn's Hugh Freeze with the prostate cancer. Obviously, no one wants to hear news like that. But I am glad that he is getting some good news that is low aggressive. His form of cancer was low aggressive. So prayers and thoughts go out to Hugh Freeze, and hopefully he can ring the bell and say that he is cancer free one day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never a good thing, and you know, it's it's just something to keep in your prayers, for Hugh Freeze and his family and everything he's going through right now.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about a little bit. Let's talk about football, Ballard. Let's talk football because that's what we're on here to do is talk some football, right? The football side of things. Now, yes, prayers up for Hugh Freeze with the prostate cancer and all that stuff. Nobody wants to go through that, and nobody wants to see anybody go through that. On the other hand, it was a disappointing season last season, 5-7. I really thought like Hugh Freeze had a team. Now, he has had a terrible quarterback situation, and I do believe that he should have went into the portal last offseason to get him a quarterback. Some notable names that was in the transfer portal was like a Cam Ward, right? Who
Yeah,
knows what Auburn would have done with like a Cam Ward type, right? Um, and I've said this before, and I'm on video saying this multiple times. Peyton Thorne is a human trash can as far as a quarterback goes. Now maybe he's a great human being, and but as far as playing, the role of quarterback, he's garbage. Straight
yeah,
dookie cheese, Ballard. Straight dookie. So like he was straight dookie at Michigan State, and we've talked about this on a different live, but I agree with what you said in previous live that yeah, um, I feel like he's digressed every single year that he was at Auburn, and going to Auburn was probably a huge mistake for Peyton Thorne, and it was a huge mistake for Auburn to get him. It was a huge mistake on all parties. And then last year, Hugh Freeze decided to do the hokey pokey with the quarterback, going from Peyton Thorne and then going to was Hank Brown, which is like the whitest name ever. Don't you agree? Hank Brown. That is like the whitest name I've ever heard of. Well, John Doe is like the most generic white name, but then like you got Hank Brown is next, right?
yeah.
I mean, where did you find old Hank Brown? Like, anyways,
Iowa, or now that's where he's transferring to.
but
Either
the
way,
whole the whole point of this is you could have went and got a quarterback. You had elite wide receivers. You had a pretty good offensive line most of the time. In most games, you had a pretty good offensive line. You had a really good defense. I wouldn't say elite defense, but it was a defense that can definitely win you games. I mean, it ain't like they were giving up like you know 40 and 50 points a game. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't like a LSU type of defense. You know, it was a pretty good defense, right?
Right.
Um, it was like middle of the road type of defense. You know, it wasn't some elite Georgia or Alabama defense, but it was pretty good. I would say, and I think Auburn always has a pretty good defense, anyways. But the point is, like, I had high expectations for Auburn this past season, even with Peyton Thorne. So now they get a new quarterback, and they have a new quarterback battle. You know, talk to us, Ballard, about this quarterback battle that's a brewing, and talk to us about Auburn and what you think that Auburn can do. You already previewed I believe you previewed on your channel the offense and defenses and stuff like that. So go ahead and you know, tell us what you think needs to be done at the quarterback position for Auburn, and is there any more positions where you think I'm wrong and you think they need some help there too?
I don't. I mean, I think they've recruited greatly on both sides of the ball. I think the big question is at quarterback. Now, the thing about that is Auburn has a 5-star Deuce Knight, and he's good, at least out of high school. But it's one of those things that he still has to earn his way on the field. He still has to prove himself. Hank Brown seems like the guy after Peyton Thorne, but he still has to prove himself, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I think Auburn has the talent and the pieces. They just got to get coaching and gear and know who to put on the field.
Yes, for sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, you meant Jackson Arnold, right? Because Hank Brown's not there anymore, is he?
Right. Jackson Arnold, because of Hank Brown went to Iowa. Jackson Arnold comes over from Oklahoma, though.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, Arnold, Jackson Arnold had a quote. Um, this was yesterday, matter of fact. This is talking about, you know, spring practices and stuff like that. Um, Jackson Arnold said, and I quote, "It's nice to feel wanted." Auburn coaches mentioned they have great ball players around me that will help me out. And then he also said, Jackson Arnold also said, my scheme has always been very similar to what Coach Frears runs. I know what he expects out of the RPO system and this system in general. And he also said, it was big because all these plays, I've run them before. They're just called something different. It let me pick up the offense really quickly. And then he talked about his adversity at Oklahoma. He said that, and I quote, the biggest one was adversity. And then he says, let me see. It says, to be honest, it's probably one of the hardest things I've gone through in my life. Um, Talking about where he got benched in Week 4 against Tennessee, and it was quote a wake up call for Arnold to take a step back and root. To root for himself in something other than the game. And he had some Bible studies on Tuesday night, and the passage was James 1:12 about God preparing trials and adversity. So
Yeah.
he also said, and I quote, all the pressures from the past couple of years is just thrown out. I try to be a perfectionist. My expectations for myself are always high, but I don't feel like there's added pressure on me to come and fix things at Auburn. I just want to do my thing and do what I know that I can do. So he has the right mindset, Ballard, and it seems like from what Jackson Arnold has said to the media is that um, he is really wanted at Auburn, and
Yeah,
it seems like he is the guy. It does not seem to me that there's a really big quarterback battle. Now, like I said, this is big for Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze. I know he said he's not in panic mode, and that's what you're gonna have to not. When you're a head coach in that position, you can't. You just cannot um, panic, or you're going to obviously get fired. Right?
yeah,
You're gonna make bad decisions and get fired. So he is right whenever he says that he's not in panic mode. But I feel like last year, now quote, listen. I understand some people say that Peyton Thorne might have gone through some injuries or whatever or whatnot, but to me, last year it was very clear to me that Peyton Thorne got benched because he's hot garbage. All right.
right.
And it was very clear to me that they started um, the whitest man in college football, Hank Brown, and they threw him in the woods. What was it versus Oklahoma or something like that? I can't remember, but it was versus SEC team, and they just threw him out for you know basically to get eaten up because he never been in any real big time games. He was a true freshman last year. So like I feel like Ballard, what I seen last year, I did see Hugh Freeze panic. I did see that. Now, and then he gets in the press conferences and he's blaming every single player and every single staff member and every single person except for himself. He's taking no accountability. And like I remember that from last year, and he's saying this year, like, oh, he's in no panic. He's fine. Everything's all good and hunky dory. Like, do you really buy that? Are you going to buy that, Ballard? From what Hugh Freeze is saying, are you really buying that he's not panicking at all after what we've seen last season?
No, I think he's gotta be panicking. Like, it's like you have to, but you don't have to as a coach. It's like, how do I want to put this? Like, he should panic because of his job being in jeopardy. But at the same time, like, I understand, like, you gotta be calm under pressure, you know? And
Right.
I don't know what he's doing right now. I don't know. But if he says that there's like, oh, we're not panicking and it's fine and blah blah blah, it's really not fine. His job's in jeopardy after last year.
Yeah, I do agree with that. If he goes 5-7 again, that man's out the door.
Right.
He's going to be looking for a job, and like I think if he goes 8-4, I think he'll be good. I think even if he goes 7-5, I think he'll keep his job for one more year. I think he'll save his job for at least one more year. But 8-4, 9-3, he'll save his job for a couple more years probably, unless he just tanks the following year. But like it's do or die time. It's literally poop or get off the pot time for Auburn. I mean, they have a stacked roster, a winning roster. Really, they do have a winning roster. They just need
Of course.
quarterback and Jackson Arnold. I've seen flashes of him being really good last year. I really did. I just felt like Brent Venables, man, maybe just the connection between Brent Venables and Oklahoma's uh offense, the way that they ran stuff. because they were really successful whenever they did things the Jackson Arnold way, and like they were really successful, like versus Alabama, right? And I'm not picking on you, Ballard. I'm not saying anything bad about Bama. I'm just giving you example. I mean, you just happen to be a Bama fan. I mean, I can't really think of any other example right off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
the Alabama game is the example that I can think of. So I'm not making fun of Alabama, but it just happened to be your team that I'm thinking of. But so like, you know, what did they do very successfully? They used Jackson Arnold's legs. They did a lot of the RPOs, the run pass option thing, right?
Yeah.
And they really torched Alabama. And it really worked. But then it seemed like they got away from that and they fell apart. Like if they would have had that same recipe for every other game, maybe they would have won more games. I don't know, but we'll never know. But I think that is the same type of scheme that Hugh Freeze has because we have seen Peyton Thorne do the same thing. I remember Georgia a couple years ago where he tried that, running with the quarterback deal, right? And Georgia could not stop it, and we almost lost. And he did that with other teams, right?
Right.
But obviously, Peyton Thorne, no good. And and this new guy, Jackson Arnold, he is good. He's what, a 4 or 5 star coming out of high school. So obviously he is good, right?
Yeah.
So I say all this to say this. I'm saying all this stuff just to say this. If you don't understand anything I said from the last 5 or 10 minutes, I've been rambling on. Um, the only thing I'm trying to say is that I think Auburn is one quarterback away from getting into this thing. I do.
I think
I'm
so too because of their weapons on offense. They have one or two 5-star standouts, whether you want to call them 5-star or not. I don't really know what their ratings are, but they got standout guys even on defense. I think, and I said this in my I did a Auburn offensive preview video, and I said if they could boost the O line and figure out the quarterback, the sky could be the limit for what they can do offensively.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man. I think Auburn is just one quarterback away from competing in the SEC and being really good. They bring back well, they don't bring back, they get a seasoned quarterback that's played in the SEC, and they actually have quarterback experience, which a lot of teams do not. And like Alabama, like Georgia. I know Georgia has their quarterback. He played in the SEC championship game, and then he played in a playoff game. But outside of that, like he hasn't had a full entire like spring with the practicing with the ones and playing meaningful games throughout the season, and then like he just got thrown in after halftime to beat Texas in overtime, and then he played in against Notre Dame and lost, right? I wouldn't really call
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it. Yeah, it is meaningful, yes, but at the same time, like he hasn't had a full um off season to prepare like he's going to prepare now. So whenever I say he's a new quarterback and not experienced, I mean like a full off season, right? So with that being said, like I Alabama, Georgia, Who else is brand new with the quarterbacks? You got Oklahoma. They're got a new quarterback. You uh, you know, the only ones that really bring back a new quarter, the only ones that really bring back their quarterbacks is like Nico from Tennessee. You got Garrett Nussmeier, and then outside of them, I mean, Texas has Arch Manning, but he's not really proven. Um, you know, you got DJ Lagway coming back, but right now he's really on injury. Right now he's trying to nurse an injury right now, so don't know if he's going to be 100% in week one, right?
Right.
But so they do got advantage at quarterback. That's what I'm trying to say. They do got a pretty good advantage at quarterback whenever you think about it. So, um, hopefully he turns out to be really, really good, like Auburn wants him to be. Because I think if he is, then we can see Auburn contend for the SEC title this year. I really maybe not the playoffs. I don't think they're quite ready. I think they're 9-3, 10-2 type of team that can squeeze their way into a SEC championship game and probably lose the SEC championship, right? But I'm not going to predict Auburn to the SEC title. I'm not going to predict that yet. I haven't made my predictions yet. I'm going to wait a little bit longer to make my predictions, but I can definitely see them contending for the SEC. We just got to see what Jackson Arnold can do. I mean, I know we've already seen him before. He's had signs of greatness, and then sometimes he just didn't look that great at all. But just like Jackson Arnold said, with the with the scheme that Auburn's offense runs, he already knows it. So, and he'll probably be really good at it, right? But anywho, I think we talked enough about Auburn.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, since we're already talking about quarterbacks, let's go ahead and knock this one out real quickly. So spring games are starting up, and let's talk about some key positions, key position battles as college spring practices conclude. So up first, we're going to go ahead and lead off with Alabama. I want you to talk about this. Alabama's key position is quarterback. So names to know, you got, this is coming from CBS Sports. Names to know: Ty Simpson, Austin Matt, uh, Keelan Russell. Go ahead and talk about your team.
Yeah, so I think it has to start with the most experience, and because he's been in the system a while, I think it should be Ty Simpson to start out. But what's interesting is Kalen DeBoer has come out recently and said that no one has separated themselves ahead of anybody. Not that they're not making progress, it's just it's still early and too close to call. Now we do have A Day coming up tomorrow, or I say tomorrow, Saturday. So, which won't be televised, and I'm not gonna be able to make it to Tuscaloosa to see, but we should have some experts kind of put some footage out there later on to watch to see how everyone did. But that I don't even think that's gonna be a key moment. I mean, unless someone just star studs everybody, you're probably gonna have a quarterback battle until fall camp in August.
Now, you look at these guys and you hear the board say nobody's really separated themselves. Does that worry you as a Alabama fan?
Yes, a little bit. When there's quarterback competition and no one separated themselves, and you're halfway through the spring, even though you could always just sit back and wait on fall, you kind of don't want to. I mean, like, would you want to sit and wait until the game one for Georgia to find out who's going to be your starter, or do you want to find out as soon as possible so you can get mentally prepared for what's probably going to happen for your Bulldogs?
Well, as a fan, I would love to know who my quarterback is, which all eyes are pointing to Gunnar Stockton. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we get to the Georgia section. But yeah, man, I think a lot of these coaches now they try to be very secretive. So they think that it's going to be like, oh, if we don't tell anybody, then you know, we'll have a upper hand. We'll just tell everybody that, oh, it's still a quarterback position, and then next thing you know, they think that game one that it's going to be some type of shock that Ty Simpson is the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, I know that some head coaches' mentality is, oh, we're not going to say nothing. We're not going to tell these people how good they are. We're not going to tell them like just how awesome Ty Simpson is until they actually start playing. You know what I mean?
right.
We're just going to tell them, oh, they ain't got no separation. We're just going to tell them like, oh, well, they're all doing good and yada yada. And it might worry us as fans, like, okay, what's really happening? But then who knows? Ty Simpson might be better than Jalen Milroe. Who knows, right? Or he could just, you know, not do good at all. I don't know. But like I I mean, are you excited?
I am excited. I think that, I can't remember a time where there was a lot of question marks surrounding the quarterback battle like there is this year. Like, even not this past year, but like the year before when Milrow started the first time, it was some questions. It was between him and Ty Simpson, and I'm trying to think. There was one other guy, but then Tyler Buckner. Thank God he's gone. But um, I this time around, I'm really curious and excited about the quarterback situation at Alabama, and I have not felt that way in a while. I'm usually really nervous about it. But knowing that talent wise, we have our guys, like, you're dealing with like three different 5-star recruits. Even Austin Mack was a 5-star recruit at Washington um, for Kalen DeBoer. Keelan Russell comes in. He's a 5-star freshman. Ty Simpson, redshirt sophomore, 5-star out of Martin, Tennessee. Um, it's uh, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm excited.
For sure. And so let's move on to Georgia. Talk a little bit about our quarterback position. Ryan Puglisi, he has came out and said that he does not think that Gunnar Stockton is just running away with this starting position. He believes that he has just as much as a chance to start as Gunnar Stockton does. Now, I will say I think the higher ceiling. Now, listen closely, Ballard. I think right now the quarterback that you need to go with is the obvious one in Gunnar Stockton. But I do
Yeah,
think the higher ceiling maybe not right now, but like next year and the year after or whatever the next coming years, I do think Puglisi's ceiling is a lot higher. I think he can grow, and I think he can learn, and he can, grow into an amazing quarterback that we haven't seen in a long time at Georgia. I think Puglisi is the future of Georgia at quarterback, and so you know, whenever I think of like right now, I think yes, I think Gunnar Stockton is the guy you go with, but according to Puglisi, like this quarterback battle ain't over, and I mean I don't know, I don't go to practices every single day, but I would assume based off of Kirby Smart's track record that Puglisi, sorry buddy, but there ain't no really good quarterback battle brewing right now. It's Gunner Stockton time. So, I think, like I said, I think the ceiling is much higher with Puglisi. I think Puglisi can develop. That's the word I'm looking for, into some amazing quarterback in the next few years or even next year, and he'll be the future of this program and win us a national championship, hopefully. But I think right now it's Gunner time. It's Gunner. As far as what CBS Sports got on here, they got defensive line. We all know like Michael Williams, Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson, Ingram Dawkins. They're all going to the NFL draft this year. So some names that have to be next man up. Jordan Hall, he's had some injury problems. Joseph Ajanye, he's also had some injury problems. Xavier McLeod also had some injury problems. Christian Miller, he's injured right now. So not looking too good for Georgia's defensive line when we're talking about like injury prone stuff, right?
Right.
But if they all can be 100% healthy by week 1 of college football, and we can have these guys at the defensive line, I think we can have a really strong defensive line. Obviously, we lose a lot of defense on the line there, but Jordan Hall's played a lot. Joseph Ajanye has played a lot. Xavier McLeod has played a lot. I think he transferred from, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the South Carolina transfer from last offseason. But Christian Miller, right now he's injured. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see how the defensive line really stacks up. You got anything on that?
Not really. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you had to say, but other than that, I don't really have anything to add to it.
All right, how about this? Notre Dame quarterback. So this is really interesting because, you know, last year we had Riley Leonard at quarterback for Notre Dame. The year before that was Hartman, right?
Yeah.
Um, so now you have different names, and this is really interesting to say the least. You have Steve Angeli, Angeli, CJ Carr, and Kenny McKinney. I probably butchered their names, but it's okay. Um, Steve probably is QB number 1 here. He has the most game experience because he backed up Hartman and Riley Leonard. He also stepped up in games like Penn State in the college football playoff. Um, but Carr was prized with prospect signee with tons of arm talent. McKinney might possess the most athleticism while being an accurate passer. So, based off of all this, it leads me to believe that Steve is going to get the job, but I think maybe the future, is Kenny McMinchie. Kenny Minchie or whatever his name is. You got any thoughts on Notre Dame and their quarterback battle?
I think it's big shoes to fill with Riley Leonard leaving. Obviously, he did great at Duke. He brought a lot to Notre Dame, and obviously took them to a national title. So it is going to be interesting to watch. I don't know who exactly to look for of those guys mostly to be the starter, but um, I think that Marcus Freeman knows what he's doing, and he's in the best position to win.
Yeah, for sure. Now we talk about Penn State. We're moving on to Penn State, and their biggest thing is wide receivers. Now, did you know that Penn State against against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl? Did you know that zero wide receivers recorded a single catch? Zero.
Really?
Zero wide receivers. All the wide receivers failed to record a single catch, with Drew Aller's 12 completions going to tight ends Tyler Warren, Dinkins, Luke Reynolds, and running backs Nick Singleton and Katron Allen.
That's insane.
Zero wide receivers recorded a catch for Penn State. So yes, Penn State at the wide receiver position is a big question mark. But here's some names to know, Ballard. You got Devontae Ross, Kyron Hudson, Liam Clifford, Caden Saunders, Kobe Howard, Matt Alden, and a few others. Uh,
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us about some of these guys and what you're a Penn State guy. I mean, I know you're an Alabama fan, but you follow Penn State quite a lot. So go ahead and tell us about this position and what Penn State has to do to uh, have these wide receivers up and ready to play.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I just trying to think of what I want to say there, but for Penn State, I mean, I'm not much of a Penn State guy. I mean, my grandparents follow Penn State more than I do, but um, I don't know, man.
All right, for sure. I think out of all these guys, the one I've heard the most would be the Liam Clifford and Kyron Hudson and Devontae Ross. Them three can make a pretty good impact at the wide receiver position for Penn State. Also, they get a new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles. I have been really high on Jim Knowles ever since back in the Oklahoma State days, baby. I'm telling you. Um, Jim Knowles is one of the best top three defense coordinators in the country, probably top two, because Kirby Smart is a head coach and not a defense coordinator, but probably like number one or number two. You could put him number one, and I wouldn't be mad. But Jim Knowles, man, he is going to number one. Penn State's defense is already good, but having Jim Knowles is just going to get much better. So can't wait to see that. Devontae Ross, he's a transfer from Troy. He led Troy in receiving last season. He has lots of speed. Also, Tyron Hudson, he is a transfer from Southern Cal. Very speedy receiver there. So them are some good ones. Caden Saunders has been around, and Liam Clifford has been around Penn State for a few years. Um, you know, Clifford was the third leading wide receiver last season, 18 catches, 286 yards. Not really that good, so he's going to have to step it up on the field. Let's talk about Oregon quarterback. We got, in my opinion, it's Dante Moore, and that's it, right? I know they got Austin Novosad, but come on, Dante Moore literally sat a year whenever he could have started anywhere in the country, really, but he chose to go to Oregon and sit for a year under Dan Lanning's offense, right?
Yeah.
You know, Dan Lanning is known for having some pretty good quarterbacks. Um, so we're going to get to see Dante Moore, which is a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. He was initially committed to Oregon before flipping to UCLA, and then he had a season with UCLA in 2023, and then he transferred to Oregon. So this past season, and he sat on the bench a whole entire year to learn under under that offense. So I think he's going to be just fine. And you can tell me what you think about this, but I mean, it's probably going to be more of the same thing I just said. But I think Dante Moore is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's his job to lose. I think that he's the most talented. I think he's I don't I don't really think anyone's really much experience right now at Oregon, but Dante Moore's was really hyped up coming out of high school, and he has a lot of potential, a high ceiling, and this is his year. This is his year to show what he can do.
Sure. Let's talk about the reigning, defending national champions and Ohio State University. They got a quarterback battle brewing. Now, it's probably going to be Julian Sayin, and I know Alabama fans really wanted Julian Sayin to stay, but unfortunately, he took a bag and he's off to Ohio State. Well, he's already at Ohio State, but you get what I'm saying. But like you know a little bit more about Julian Sayin than I do. I know he's like a very talented quarterback coming out of high school, but other than that, don't know too much more to say about him. Um,
I
Ohio
don't really
State.
have much because I haven't seen him, so I really don't have too much, honestly, to offer on him. Other than he is talented, he's mobile, he's more of a pro style quarterback, but that's really it, man. I mean, I think it's his job to lose at Ohio State this year. I mean, you have guys like Tavian St. Clair behind him, but um, big shoes to fill with Will Howard uh, getting drafted later this month. So.
For sure. So let's end the live stream with this last topic of the night that we had talked before, which is this is going to be a very quick topic because me and Ballard already share the same thoughts, so this is going to go by really quickly. I just wanted to point and laugh at Clemson Wire, USAtoday.com put out some ridiculous, I'm talking about a ridiculous um, article, and I just wanted to really come on and end the show with laughter and just point and laugh at this ridiculous statement that I'm about to read, this paragraph that I'm about to read. Clemson football, and yes, you're hearing this right. Clemson football earns "quote unquote" blue blood status in college football, best football schools, and The question is, has Clemson earned the right to be called a blue blood in college football? Well, according to College Football News, the answer is yes. The Tigers were recently added to their exclusive group of blue blood programs, a club that includes Michigan, Alabama, and Ohio State. They had some criteria, looked at how often teams have hit the 10-win mark, a stat they view as the best measure of relevance and consistency over time. All data was pulled from current FBS programs only and national titles. While considered, were given less weight due to the inconsistent ways champions were named in decades past. By those standards, Clemson stands on solid ground. Dabo Swinney's program has produced some of the best teams of the last 15 years, multiple playoff appearances, and 2 national titles. Um, so then it goes on and on to talk about how good Clemson's been in recently. But they're saying that Clemson's a blue blood, and I think it's ridiculous. What? Give me your take.
It is ridiculous. I mean, I think that, you know, they've had a lot of 10-win seasons. I'll give them that. Dabo's an amazing head coach, and they are one of the top programs today. But blue blood, first off, can I just go ahead and say this, Mayhem? At this point, I think it's too late for anybody not a blue blood to become a blue blood. Like, you should have jumped on that train when you started college football trying to win national titles and get Heisman winners and all the accolades you could get. What do you say to that? Like, can you become a blue blood today, you think? Or are we settled on this whole Alabama, I don't know, Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State type deal?
So blue blood is the definition. I just looked up the definition of blue blood, and it says it means noble birth, right?
Mhm.
And it says blue blood is membership in a noble or socially prominent family. Um, so when I think of those definitions, right, and I think of when it says noble birth, I think you cannot become a blue blood in college football because the birth of college football, whenever that happened long years ago, then them teams that won multiple national titles like the Alabamas, Michigans, Notre Dames, the Oklahomas, and the Southern Cows, right? All them teams won multiple natties, and they were relevant, like the Nebraskas, right? They're called blue bloods because they they were the original winners in college football. Does that make sense? Like,
I think blue bloods are the teams that have done so well in college football that college football would not survive without them today.
right, exactly. They were
That's what I think. Like,
they
if
were
we kicked off, like, okay, that caller that called into Lou's show saying Florida was a blue blood, you could kick Florida off this island of college football, we'd still survive.
right. Yeah, I think
Clemson is a great program, amazing, but can we survive without them? I think so.
I would say this, Ballard. I don't think that you should call them blue bloods. I think you should just call them elite programs, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like, why do you have to put them in the term blue blood? I think people in general get the word blue blood mixed up with elite program. It's two different things. Blue blood is something that happened, like you said, that a blue blood is uh, teams that has had a lot of success years ago and that really shaped college football to be what it is today, right? The success that they've had, right?
Right.
And Georgia, we have more national championships than Michigan does in the last what 40 years, 50 years,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, Georgia has more national championships than Michigan, but Michigan has what 11 of those national championships, right?
Mm-hmm.
11 or 12 of them, I can't remember, but it's up there, like 11 national championships in college football, and they rose to be elite and great way back in the day, and they really molded and grew college football to what it is today. Like I'm not going to say that they're like the founding fathers of college football. I'm not going to say that, but they are like the greats of college football. They're like the Mount Rushmore. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like Mount Rushmore. You're not going to like you can't say that we're going to add another head to Mount Rushmore just because you believe uh, insert president here is great. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to
Right.
see, and I'm not getting political here, but this is just a fact, right? You're never going to see Joe Biden on Mount Rushmore. You're never going to see it. You're never going to see, you know, like Donald Trump as Mount Rushmore president. You're never going to see it, right?
Right.
So they're not going to carve out a whole entire head of somebody new. Why are they not? You're not going to say, well, I believe Obama should be in the Mount Rushmore presidents. Like, no, the Mount Rushmore presidents are the four that's already there, and that's it. You know, they were the
Yeah.
ones that pretty much made America what it is, right? And so it's the same thing. I think blue blood really ultimately means like the Mount Rushmore of college football, if you want me to be honest. You can't add more teams to college football blue bloods just because they're elite today. Like we might have a great president in the future. That doesn't mean that that president deserves to be on Mount Rushmore. It's just he or she or it or whatever is a great president, right? Um,
Right.
but anyways, that's my little 2 cents. I'm not getting political or anything like that. It's just I'm just trying to compare so that somebody could understand me. But yeah, man, I don't think you can become a blue blood.
I don't think so either. I
I
think it'd
think
be hard today. You'd have to do so much to get on track to be one of them, and it's just not going to happen for anybody.
yeah, I mean I think even if Georgia went on like a 12 national championships in a row, I still don't think you can call Georgia a blue blood. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I would say that they're like the best program in the world, yes, but I wouldn't say like put them in the blue blood section. I mean, I wouldn't do that because like they're not really the founding fathers of the founding greatest football teams. You know what I mean? Like from way back when. But
Right.
anyways, that's the only things I had for the show. We've been here on about an hour or so. If you have anything else to talk about, I mean, it's up to you, man. But as far as I got nothing else.
Yeah, I got nothing either. I thought it went well. I thought we had some good conversation there, and just y'all hit that thumbs up and subscribe here at Ballard Sports Media, and hit that bell, get notified, and we'll see you on the next episode, I guess.